I want you to address the obvious. This looks like a move by an outfit called Robinhood, which is supposed to be taken from the rich and given to the poor, and doing exactly the opposite. That when the big guys, including one of your main investors in your company, started to lose, you shut down the game to starve the little guy. Fair criticism.
That's not what it is at all. And I know you started this segment. It really resonated with me because you described the story of Robinhood. Robinhood started 5 years ago by pioneering commission-free, no-account minimum mobile investing. And we've been the spokesperson of the individual investor. And our whole goal as an institution is to enable those customers, empower them, and give them access to the markets. Because for the longest time, markets have been only accessible to the wealthy. And so the entire industry adopted our business model in 2019. And in 2020, we added millions of new customers. The entire industry added millions of new customers who took advantage of the market rally and became investors for the very first time. So, we had to make a very difficult decision to protect our customers and our firm.
Why?
But we in no way.
Why? Explain why you had to do it if it wasn't to protect the guys who had shorted the stocks, which are the big hedge funds. How are you helping the little guy investors?
Well, I know that there's rumors around that, we were directed by market makers or other market participants to do this. And I want to be 100% clear. This decision was not made on the direction of any market maker or other market participants.
So why'd you do it?
Decision. Robinhood, as a brokerage, has lots of financial requirements. SEC requirements. We have to put up money at clearinghouses. The amount of money that we have to put up depends on market volatility, and we're in a historic situation where there's a lot of activity and a lot of buying concentrated in a relatively small number of symbols that are going viral on social media. So we haven't really seen anything like this before, and to prudently manage the risk and the deposit requirements, we had to restrict buying in these 13 stocks. But customers that held them could sell throughout. Thousands of other securities and stocks on our platform were available to freely trade. And our number one priority, as you mentioned, is to make sure our platform is reliable, stable for our customers. We're serving our customers and giving them the tools.
But that's exactly what's in question now.
We're doing everything in our power to turn it back on as soon as prudent.
But that's the thing, is that the trust is in question because it seems like the only people who are getting hurt were the big shots. And that if they were benefiting from this, your small investors now believe that you wouldn't have shut down the game. And just one thing without getting in the weeds here. You don't control the listing venue for Gamestop. Now, I used to work in finance, so I know this stuff, but the audience doesn't need to. The New York Stock Exchange does. So if anybody was going to control the listing and shut it down, it should have been them, but it wasn't. It was you. And the reason that they do it is very limited. They do it because they think there's evidence of fraud, or they think that there needs to be a material disclosure by the company that hasn't been made. And that's done to protect the investor. You check none of those boxes here because you don't control the venue. You didn't know about any information that GameStop or any of these other stocks needed to put out. You don't have any reason to believe there's fraud that you've articulated. And you're certainly not protecting these people who've been living the dream of making money, especially at the expense of the big guys. So why should people believe you did this for the right reasons?
Well, we have no choice. We have to comply with all financial requirements. And
the SEC hasn't said you had to do this.
Well, lots of brokers have to comply with these financial requirements and have issued restrictions on some of these names. And this is an industry-wide thing. You yourself mentioned that other brokers this week have imposed restrictions. And not speaking for other firms, but for Robinhood in particular, this isn't because there's deals happening with market makers we route to or market participants.
But then why did you allow people to keep selling but not buying? The reason that is so troubling to people is that they were making money buying the stock because they were against the short side. And so by enabling them to sell but not buy, it sounds like you were allowing the hedge funds, and again, one of them owns a piece of you, and they had a big short position, and that looks like a stinky conflict that you didn't come out straight on from the start. Address that.
Well, none of that had anything to do with our decision to do this. Again, this was just looking at regulatory requirements, financial requirements, and we 100% will always protect our customers, where the entire business is operating to empower individual investors and has been since its founding. And that's what Robinhood is committed to continue to do. So we don't want to restrict buying in these 13 stocks. We're doing the best we can to re-enable it, as long as it's operationally and prudent from a deposit standpoint.